What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham update for you people, and it's been a brilliant day to be a Spurs fan so far. Let's see if that brilliant day can continue. Joining me today to discuss all the Tottenham news is Brains McLeod. How are we doing, Brains?
Not bad. Seen a lot of you today, probably a little bit too much, to be honest. Now you've got some bad news, have you, or good news? Don't blow my
worry.
buzz. This is the
Nothing
best.
to be worried about. This is the last you'll be seeing of me today. Don't you worry. We're first going to be talking about the Dragusin deal. Of course, we got the here we go this morning. He did travel to Hotspur way to have his medical, and now Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Radu Dragusin has just completed his medical at the Spurs training ground. Dragusin has signed his contract until June 2029, and he's going to be paid €3 million per season, with the agreement to be official soon. A few other interesting things about the deal have popped up in the last few moments. GS Pro, which is a Romanian publication, they're saying a key reason as to why Dragusin chose to join Tottenham is because how wanted he was made to feel by Ange Postecoglou. He said Ange was clear to the player how much he wanted to sign him, and the pair have spoken several times on the phone over the last few days. And Emmanuel Rosu says that he's a Romanian journalist. He says Bayern Munich offered Dragusin a 75% higher salary than the personal terms that Tottenham offered, but the player wanted to join Spurs, which, I mean, I find that hard to believe. It's 75% higher, because if I'm looking at that salary Romano is claiming that we're paying, that's $3 million per season, so that's around about 50,000 a week or something like that, which is pretty good for a 21-year-old. But he's saying 75% more. So he's saying that you know, they're offering maybe they're offering Dragusin about 75 grand a week, which is, I mean, or maybe even a bit higher. So, I mean, what does that say if he rejected that kind of money to come to Spurs?
Doesn't that say so much about the impact of Ange? You know, like all the other players who have come in and you know, hit the ground running, talking about their decision was down to Ange. Like, you know, it just makes such a difference when you actually speak to the guy who's brought the style of play, who has faith in you being able to come in. It also says a lot about Ange actually being involved more in the process of like the scouting. Once they've got their main picks, that he actually like identifies them and goes, all right, this is the guy I want. Let me have a chat. You sit down, Dan. Sit down, Daniel. Let me have a little chat with the guy. And that seems to be way more like, you know, Daniel Levy thinking like, these guys can't get across it. I'll jump in last minute. Like, it's just, how many years have we gone through the whole players just not wanting it, not wanting to come, you know, and a bunch of other reasons. Now it just feels like everything's changed. The whole vibe at the club seems like, you know, worlds apart from before.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the fact, I mean, I wonder if it's true that the offer we had is so much lower than Bayern, because that would definitely say a lot. And as well, you know, players have a reputation in this day and age only being after the money. That's the only thing to discuss. But if that is true, that also goes a lot to his character and also how he sees Tottenham at this stage of his career as maybe the right place for him. And if that is true about him rejecting a lower salary, like, these are the kind of players you want, like fighting for your club. And he's clearly, that means he's not coming here for financial reasons or anything like that. He's coming here because he really believes this is the best place for the next stage of his career, and he really takes his football seriously. And that's a really great characteristic and a really good kind of aspect of his personality that I think Ange would really respect of a player coming through the door.
Yeah, and it just makes me annoyed because, you know, obviously, if you think about the stream you did last night, we were, it looked like, you know, you and Amir were almost certain, you know, that it was going to fall through. But and you could see in the comments and just in general in our fan base, when a player doesn't want to, you know, screw him. You know,
never wanted him anyway. Yeah.
Well, the whole time he's like, no, I love this project. You can't help but just. You couldn't possibly be negative around this time. You can't help but feel like things are starting to turn. We're starting to turn a corner. We've gone through like one of the worst little runs of you know, injuries and stuff. And now when you're kind of getting deals like that, you know, that's a steal. The actual, what was the entire deal? Because I'm not sure if I'm completely sure about the ins and outs of how much he's coming for. And that's interesting. He's getting paid $3 million a year. That's and to say no to Bayern, who are offering him what 75%,
something like that, yeah,
on wages. you got to feel confident with that. That's
100%. And that really bodes well for me in terms of a player who really wants to be at the club and who's going to fight tooth and nail, to give his best. And, that really gives me a great indication. Next up, we're going to be talking about Eric Dyer. That deal seems to be progressing as well. Christian Falk says Bayern have now intensified their contact with Eric Dyer. Tom Allnut from The Times saying Bayern Munich are expected to now push forward with a move for Eric Dyer. And Florian Plettenberg confirms that Bayern director Christian Freund wants to finalise a permanent move for Eric Dyer immediately. So it seems as though they're pushing forward there. Apparently that is due to the fact they've missed out on Radio Dragusin. They're now pushing forward Eric Dyer, which is music to our ears for sure. And hopefully if this one can get pushed through, it's almost like two birds with one stone with one deal. Get Dragusin and also means we get a buyer for Dyer. So really, really brilliant stuff for us.
Yeah, double whammy there. And, like Eric Dyer has attributes to be a great defender. It just doesn't fit speed-wise for Ange. But I could easily see him going to the Bundesliga for what he's good at and really like getting on really well. This could be the move for him that if he has a solid end of the season with Bayern, picks up a trophy, gets him back in that England squad. So it's amazing. It's amazing for him. I think Dyer at Spurs, where like he's a pivotal player at the back, you cannot make a mistake. That's not the way I think Dyer likes to play football. It's not really great for any. You've seen what happened at Maguire when you're that key guy at the back, and if you have a bad game, it's all on you. So I think going to a club that win trophies, there isn't. He won't be the main guy at the back. There won't be that pressure on him, and he can just kind of enjoy his football. I can't believe how incredible this would be for him. And for us, talk about failing upwards. Like, wow.
It would be
very soon,
It'd be crazy if this deal for Dragusin, it also means that Dyer we're able to offload him and also get a small fee for him, because most of the talk going into this window is if we are going to let go of Dyer, it would be probably on a free transfer. If Bayern Munich are willing to give us some money, that would, go towards obviously covering some of the costs for Dragusin, and obviously getting Dyer's probably on some quite hefty wages as well. He's probably on more than what we're going to be paying Dragusin. So, it'd be brilliant for everyone, and also brilliant for Dyer. A really brilliant move for him late in his career, where he's probably not going to get a better opportunity to join such a big club right now. So I think it's a win-win all round, apart from maybe Bayern. I think Bayern fans are not quite happy with it, but that's not our call. They're the ones who want him. So look, I wish them the best of luck if that does happen, but it seems they are pushing forward with that now. So let's see how that progresses.
And Harry Kane. He has a translator. He's got it all.
That's a good point. Yeah, Dyer should really settle quickly with Harry Kane at the helm as well. That's a good point. Sky Sports Lyle now talking about Brian Hill. He says Brian Hill is in no rush to leave Tottenham. He is happy and enjoying things under Postecoglou. A loan not ruled out yet with Feyenoord and Fiorentina keen. Obviously, Brian Hill has probably had a few more opportunities than he's had previously in a Spurs shirt. I wouldn't say he's overly impressed in those opportunities, but according to Sky Sports Lyle, he is enjoying his time under Postecoglou. But it's not surprised because, we're playing a much more attacking system, than he's been since coming to Spurs. He's had managers like Nuno and Conte and obviously been quite defensive. But if you're Brian Hill, with Werner coming in, surely he must know that he's on borrowed time now.
I think it says so much for the vibe of the squad that players who are not really playing and getting their chances a lot, unless there's an injury crisis, are happy to stay because they see that something good's happening here and they feel quite comfortable. I would say for Brian Hill, just my opinion is that he actually looks really good in La Liga. And Serie A, I think, as well, because there's a little bit more space to work. The press isn't as intense. So Fiorentina's a good move for him. These are actually really, really good moves. If I was him, I would be thinking, like, move to the next stage in your career. Also, Ali Gold talking about, not sure if it's a party or update, but I think Ali Gold was just maybe riffing that he saw, like, potentially if there was something happening with the defender from Seville, that Brian Hill could have been involved there. I'm not sure Brian Hill just wants to keep going back and forth to Seville, but he does play incredible football in Spain. So I don't know. I'm of the kind of like the kind of old school ilk where if you're not playing, you're not starting, you kind of want to go ahead and take that next step. It's been a while now. He's been here a little bit of time. He's just gone off on loans. He might actually see this little bit of run that he's getting. That he is kind of involved. He is coming on. And he's not doing bad. I'm not sure if he's made for the Premier League. He is a good footballer. He's got loads of assets. And actually, he does have some assets that fit a Postecoglou's side. Just not sure that the league is made for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I just don't think... I know he hasn't had too many opportunities, and he would argue, he's never really even had like a stretch of more than two starts in a row. Probably, I would say. I can't remember.
Can you get that now?
Sorry, no, definitely not. And I think as well, I just think for him, even a loan deal, I would be like, I just think you need a permanent deal. I think he needs a permanent home where he feels appreciated and wanted. And all this like loans where he's coming back all the time and looking to impress over a short period and then coming back. And I think it's really stagnated his career. I don't think it's helped him at all. I think right now a permanent move somewhere is probably what I would say is best for him. But I understand where he's coming from as well, because he's probably enjoying the atmosphere at Tottenham. He's probably thinking anywhere from here is probably downwards. And if I want to really progress in my career, like he might feel like if I can somehow get into this Postecoglou team, all of a sudden this is all I've ever wanted. But I would just argue it's never going to happen, unfortunately for him. And I agree with you. I think we've seen enough from him in the Premier League now to suggest that is he ever going to be the right fit? I just can't see it at the moment. Next up, we got stories about Cuti Romero, which is really interesting. Paul O'Keefe said that Cuti Romero wants to play against Man United, and Charlie Eccleshare says that Romero feeling good after a hamstring injury and pushing for a return against Man United on Sunday. It would be a big boost for Spurs and a speedy recovery after initial expectations that he'd be back in late Jan. Now, he wouldn't be the first player so far to make a speedy recovery from an injury, which we expect them to keep out for far longer. Obviously, Dragusin is going to be through the door and probably going to be signed in time to play against Man United. But if you got Romero coming back from injury and he's kind of like 80-90% fit, or you got a Dragusin ready to come in, who'd you go with on Sunday in a big game?
These are the big decisions, this and the pick in the midfield. But I think Romero, that obviously that wasn't a tear, that wasn't a bad injury. He would never be back as quick as he is this. But I just don't think with hamstring, anything to do with the hamstring, anything to do with the knee, or calf, I just don't think you risk. I don't think 70, 80 is good enough. I think players have to be. That's why VDV didn't start the other day. Like, he's had 2-3 weeks now of training and running and building up the load on the legs. So I think, but again, who knows how long Cuti's actually been in? Because I think they're keeping it stum on how long the players have been back. I could imagine that Madison's probably back and no one's saying anything. So, but I just think if he has had such a good chat and he has chosen Spurs over Bayern, I kind of got the feeling that they might be giving him the nod to come and just get started right away. And to be fair, a VDV and Dragusin back two doesn't look bad either. It is sink or swim, like we said. Like, it's very different speed, from what he's used to. So it's a big decision. What about you? What would you do there? Would you start?
Yeah, in terms of going to the psychology of Postecoglou and what he's done previously, there's two ways of looking at it. Like, I've seen a few weeks ago, he put Bentancur in from the start against, Bournemouth, and he confirmed after the game that he was only set to play 60 or 70 minutes in that game. So he even pre-planned that and pre-planned to take him off. So would he do that with Romero? Would he feel comfortable doing that? But as well, we saw at the beginning of the season, Van de Ven was signed a few days before the Brentford game, and he chucked him straight in. He was like, we need you. You're ready to come straight in. And he didn't have any qualms about being a new league, new team or anything. He's like, no, you're straight in. And so there are two ways of looking at it. Will he do what he did with Bentancur with Romero, or will he do what he did with Van de Ven with Dragusin? I think in a big game like this, I know Romero is going to be absolutely desperate to play. I'm just worried, especially with the way Romero plays. Always on the front foot, always looking to get stuck in. I'm worried he's pushing himself to play because he feels responsibility to get back in the team as a vice captain, and I'm just worried that he's kind of. He's trying to push the medical team basically to say, like, I'm ready. He's desperate to get back as well. Maybe he feels a bit responsible for some of the red cards he's had, and on top of that, he's like, and now he's injured as well, so he's like so many games he's missed, and Romero is one of these players who feels a big responsibility to the team, especially as a vice captain. So I would be reticent to put him in. I'll just say, look, I think Dragusin, it'll be a good experience. Whatever happens for him, it'll be a good experience. He'll be partnered hopefully with Van de Ven as well. So hopefully, I think we're part of a group where even if he makes a mistake or something, no one's going to hammer him or anything like that. Obviously, in terms of what's best for us to get a result, maybe it would be better off playing Romero for 70 minutes and then take him off and bring Dragusin on. Maybe that would be more conducive. But I'm just so worried about Romero aggravating that injury that if there's any sort of possibility of that happening, I wouldn't do it because we need him badly. So I think I would put Dragusin in, just play him from the start and give him a go.
The three of them are going to play. The three of them are going to see, they're going to see minutes. And I think either way, however much Dragusin plays, it will be pivotal for him to get those minutes in, but then also it will be pivotal to see Romero back on the pitch, even if that's just a 20, 30-minute cameo. Can you imagine, like, if it is looking in any way shaky after like 50, 60 for 1-up or whatever, you bring Romero, and that's pretty solid, so it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem all the same.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Sunday, how close he is to return. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Lo Celso. Bad news about him. Paul O'Keefe says that Lo Celso has an injury concern with his hamstring, unsure how long he'll be out. And Tom Barkley of The Sun confirms that Lo Celso has a little issue with his hamstring and is likely to miss the Man United game as a precaution. But the hope is that it is just one game out. I mean, we did hear that. I remember, when was it? I think it was... we heard that previously this season at some point. I can't remember when exactly it was, and then it turned out he was out a bit longer than first feared. So this is not new for Lo Celso, and it's something that's always frustrated us. We can't seem to string more than 2 or 3 games together without picking up some sort of niggle, can he? It happens consistently with Lo Celso, and the frustrating thing for him is that he's actually going through such a good period at the moment. He's playing really well. Whenever he's been called upon, he's really doing a great job for the team. But it's just, again, I mean, look, I don't want to bang on about him because I really feel bad criticizing players for being injured because I don't feel like it's not something they can control, but it's a reality of the situation when we're relying on a player and they keep picking up a niggling injury, and it seems to happen again with Lo Celso.
Yeah, and I'm not a massive fan of the term little problem with hamstrings. You know what I mean? If someone's got a problem with a hamstring, you rest them, you make sure that it doesn't become a bigger problem. And he's got previous with this little problem phrase. So, and I think that the big thing with a player like Lo Celso and why injuries don't seem to evade him is that it comes back and he's got so much talent. He draws a heavy challenge as well. Like, I don't know, like, remember the last game, he was in the wars. There were so many times I was thinking, oh my God, he's definitely, you know what I mean? He had a few stomps, a few scrapes. He does that thing where he slides on one knee. That could be a bad thing for hamstrings. So it's with a player like him, it stops, start, returns. And then that's where they draw injuries in because they don't have the load building of constant games. Sometimes it's really good when a player can just play a lot, and even if they've got a little knock, they keep playing because their body can take it. And Lo Celso just doesn't have that. That strength has to be. It's like a boxer's chin. They can get hit loads and loads and loads, and once they get knocked out, they start getting knocked out more. So that's the problem with Lo Celso. So much so that I love the guy. I've always thought he's got so much talent. You see what he does with his left. He doesn't really care much for his right foot, but unbelievable left foot, right? He can do anything with that left foot, and he's done such. You can make a little highlight reel of him, just his performances so far this season, and it would look incredible. So it'd be horrible to lose him, but I think we're building something really special, and we need players who will play and who are young and who don't get the injuries. We're not going to build a title-winning season without 2 teams that are not injury-prone.
Yeah, and I wonder at this point as well, sometimes with injuries, in a weird way, they can be psychological. You know, after you've had a few injuries, you feel something and then you get all nervous about it and I felt something. And, you know, maybe it might not be as bad as you think, but because of your previous injury history, you know, as soon as you feel anything, you don't want to push yourself. And then all of a sudden, you know, you have to wait until you stop feeling whatever you're feeling. And then that leaves you, being unavailable for however long. And that, I feel like I just worried Lo Celso's in that mode because, I mean, every time it happens, every few games, something happens, a little twinge, a little injury, and then all of a sudden he's unavailable again, and that's a frustrating thing. But hopefully, look, I know Maddison's hopefully close to return, which is really great news, and then Kulusevski's shown he's adept to playing in the central position as well. So at least we have some options now, even with Lo Celso pick up a little injury. But let's hope that it is just one game and he'll be available for the Man City game and after that. But look, Brains, big up to you. Appreciate your time on today's Tottenham update. Let me know in the comment section below about anything we discussed today on the Tottenham update. But that is all we got time for. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.